All right. Hey, everyone. Welcome back. So today we're doing a deep dive into Phuket real estate. Phuket, beautiful beaches, that kind of thing. But we're going deeper than that. We're going to really try to figure out what the investment potential is there.
Yeah,
So we have a bunch of blog posts, all from real estate experts, and they all say they know how to make money in Phuket.
of course they do.
Of course they do.
Hmm.
So we're gonna try to figure out like what makes Phuket different from other hot spots, other tropical paradises, and what are the strategies that are working, and then I guess most importantly for our listeners, is this right for you?
Yeah. So Phuket is really interesting because it has like this blend of Thai traditions, but it also has a huge international scene.
Oh, interesting.
It's not just a place that you go to get away. It's really a mix of cultures and influences, and that comes through a lot with tourism.
Mm.
So it's a market that's always changing, and you get opportunities that you won't find other places.
Okay, that sounds promising, but maybe also a little like how do I say this? Intimidating.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Like, what are some of the things that are like the unique factors that make Phuket real estate what it is?
It's definitely complex.
Yeah.
The first thing, I mean, tourism, right, that's a huge economic driver, but
Yeah.
it also means that there's like a seasonal element to the market.
Oh, so like peak seasons.
Yeah, you have those peak seasons with high rental prices, and then it dips during the monsoon season.
Mm-hmm.
You also have foreign investment, which is great. That's fueled a lot of the growth,
Yeah.
but it's also driven up prices.
Oh, okay.
So it's a real balancing act for people who want to be able to afford to get in.
Mm-hmm. So you're looking for that like sweet spot
Totally.
where there's growth potential, but it's also affordable to get in.
Exactly.
Okay. And I'm guessing location plays a huge role in this because all of our sources talk about like finding the hot properties. Everyone wants to know, where to invest in Phuket.
Yeah. Or location, location, location. It's like, it's everything, right? It's the bedrock of your investment. Some areas have already, like, made it. Patong, Kata, Kamala.
Yeah, I've heard of those.
Yeah, those are your big tourist hubs. Rental income's pretty much guaranteed there.
Yeah.
You're going to pay a lot to get in, though, like a real premium for that prime real
Yeah.
estate.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. High demand, higher prices. But what about for people who, I don't know, they don't just want to chase the obvious, right?
Mhm.
Are there are there hidden gems in Phuket? Like, are there areas that are have the potential for big returns that people might not know about?
Yeah, this is where things get exciting, right?
Yeah.
Areas like Rawai and Cholong are attracting a lot of attention.
Okay.
They're more laid back, they're beautiful,
Yeah.
and there's starting to be a lot of development there.
Oh, okay.
So as those areas grow, the values are going to go up. And so they can be really good, especially if you have a long-term strategy.
Oh, okay. So that's a good tip. But choosing the right spot can't just be about the highest returns, right?
Of course not.
Like, you need to figure out what you want out of your investment. Different places probably appeal to different people.
You're right. If you want to make rental income quickly, the big tourist hotspots might be your best bet.
Yeah.
But if you're in it for the long game, if you want to see your property value go up over time, those emerging areas might be the key.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So let's say you found your property. Perfect location. Now, how do you actually, like, make it yours? What are the strategies for maximizing your investment?
Well, there are two main ones. I mean, the ones that our sources keep talking about.
Yeah.
First, short-term rentals. I mean, it's a no-brainer.
Because of the tourism.
Exactly. Phuket is full of tourists,
Mm-hmm.
and they all need somewhere to stay. You have to stand out, though. You need good amenities. Think like a pool, Wi-Fi, just the little things that make it nicer.
Yeah.
And you have to be smart about marketing, like using Airbnb and those kind of things.
Okay, yeah, so the digital nomad dream. Sunshine, beaches, and passive income from your Phuket property.
That's it.
But there's also this thing, off-plan properties.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not really sure what that is.
Yeah, so off-plan means that you're buying the property before it's even built.
Oh, wow.
The good thing is you can get a good discount compared to buying something that's already there.
Okay, yeah.
And then you can make a big profit when the project is finished. But, and this is important, you're taking a risk on the developer. You're trusting them to actually deliver.
So it's like weighing those potential rewards against how trustworthy is this developer.
Exactly. And the market conditions. You have to do your research. It's like detective work. You got to look into their reputation, see if they've finished projects on time, within budget, all that. And you need to know what the market is doing, because that could all affect your investment.
It sounds like you need someone, like an expert, to help you with all that. Like, what's the role of real estate agents in Phuket?
Oh, yeah, you don't want to go it alone.
Uh,
Local agents are essential. They know the trends, the laws. They can even connect you with good property management companies.
okay.
So they're like your guides in this whole process.
Okay. That makes a lot of sense. And speaking of maybe something a little less fun, but also important,
Hmm.
the legal side of things, especially for people who are investing from other countries, the Thai legal system can seem pretty daunting, right?
Yeah, for sure.
So, what are some of the things people need to know?
Well, first of all, you got to know the property ownership laws. Like foreigners can own condos, so that's pretty straightforward.
Okay.
But land ownership is totally different. Usually you're looking at a long-term lease or you have to go into business with a Thai national.
Oh, okay. So, there are ways around it,
Yeah.
but you need to do it the right way.
Yeah, you need to be careful and get legal advice.
Yeah.
Having a local lawyer, that's key. They can help you do your due diligence, make sure all the paperwork is right, the property doesn't have any legal problems, and of course you got to understand the taxes.
Right. Okay. So, you've got the legal stuff figured out, but then there's the money part,
Uh-huh.
the financing.
Uh-huh.
That can be really difficult, especially if you're coming from overseas.
Right.
So, what are the most common ways that international buyers can get financing in Phuket?
Well, sometimes you can get a mortgage from a local bank in Thailand, but they usually want a big down payment and they want to see proof that you're making money.
Hmm.
Sometimes it's easier to get financing from a bank in your own country,
Okay.
especially if you already have a good relationship with them.
So, it's really about looking at all your options and seeing what the interest rates are like and all the different terms.
Exactly. Shop around,
Yeah.
you know? And then there's also this thing called developer financing.
Oh, yeah. What's that?
It's pretty common with off-plan properties. The developer will actually give you a loan, which is helpful if you don't have a ton of cash just lying around.
Right, right.
But you have to be careful, like really look at the terms, compare interest rates, make sure there aren't any hidden fees, and like understand the difference between fixed and variable rates.
Hmm. So, it's not a free ride.
No, not at all.
You still got to be smart about it. Okay, so we've talked a lot about the tourism part
Yeah.
and how it affects like demand and prices. But how does it shape the market overall? What does that look like?
It's kind of a two-sided coin.
Uh-huh.
On one hand, it drives up demand. Like we said, prices go crazy in peak season and it creates all these great short-term rental opportunities.
Yeah.
But there's also that seasonality, right? You have to be ready for those ups and downs. And then there's all the new stuff being built, the infrastructure,
Mm.
new airports, roads, resorts. It can change an area completely.
So investors need to think about what's going to happen, like not just now, but what's going to happen later.
Exactly. You have to anticipate the changes.
Right.
Like we talked about before with that resort near the villa in Kamala.
Yeah.
That changed the whole area. The real challenge for Phuket is like finding that balance. You want the tourism, but you also want to keep what makes the island special. And of course, you have to think about the people who actually live there.
So it's not just about making money quickly.
Right.
It's about making sure it grows in a good way.
Sustainable growth. That's the key for the environment and for the real estate market itself.
Okay. So what about the future? What do people think is going to happen with Phuket real estate?
Well, pretty much everyone thinks it's going to keep growing. Tourism's going to keep going up. Infrastructure's getting better.
Mm-hmm.
And there's more awareness of sustainability, which is good. So, things are looking good. But like any investment, you got to watch the global economy.
Right. So be optimistic, but be realistic too.
Exactly.
But no investment is perfect, right?
Right.
So what are some of the challenges that people should be aware of if they're thinking about investing in Phuket?
Well, the market can be unpredictable. Currencies go up and down. The economy can slow down, inflation. All that stuff can affect property values.
Mm.
And Thailand's laws can be tough to figure out, especially for foreigners. So you have to keep up with any changes.
Okay.
And then if you're not living there full time, managing your property can be a real pain.
So finding the right people to help you is important.
Oh, yeah, it's essential. Whether it's property management or legal advice, you need local help you can trust.
Okay. So it sounds like the people who are really successful in Phuket are the ones who are adaptable and informed. They do their homework.
Yeah, definitely.
But enough of the scary stuff.
Yeah,
Let's hear some success stories.
absolutely.
Because our sources have some pretty incredible examples of people who have made a lot of money in Phuket real estate.
Oh, yeah, some people have done amazingly well.
Like, for example, there was this beachfront villa in Bangpur. They bought it pretty cheap, and then the value just shot up. Why?
Yeah.
Because it was in a great spot and everyone wanted to be there?
Classic case of right place, right time. They saw the potential before anyone else.
It's like those home makeover shows, you know? They
Exactly.
take a hidden gem and turn it into something incredible. But you don't have to have a beachfront villa to be successful, right?
Right. We saw that great example of the hillside villa in Kamala.
Oh, yeah.
The value doubled after a resort was built nearby.
So they understood how the market was going to change.
Exactly. They
Yeah.
anticipated the growth, knew what was coming.
So they're like the domino experts.
Yeah, they know which way they're going to fall.
They know how to make it work for them. But not everyone has the money to buy a fancy villa. Are there any success stories with more affordable properties?
Yeah, like that traditional Thai house in Shillong.
Oh, yeah, I remember that one.
They turned it into an Airbnb, and it's doing really well.
Okay, so they knew that people wanted something different.
Totally. They tapped into that desire for something authentic, a real experience. It shows that you can be successful even if you're not a millionaire.
So you just got to find the right niche, the right angle.
Exactly. Be creative.
But when you look at all these different success stories, what's the common thread? What are they all doing right?
Well, first of all, they all did their homework.
Mhm.
They didn't just jump in without knowing what they were doing. They researched the market, they figured out which areas were going to grow, and they really looked at the properties before they bought anything.
So knowledge is power.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Especially in a place like Phuket, where things change all the time.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not just about knowing the facts and figures. They all had good relationships with local experts.
So they had like a good team,
Yeah, like a dream team.
a real estate agent, a lawyer, a property manager, people they could trust.
Exactly. Those connections make a huge difference.
Okay. But what about their mindset? Like, how did they approach the whole thing?
They all had a long-term plan.
Yeah.
They weren't in it for a quick buck.
Okay.
They knew that if you choose the right property in the right location, it's going to go up in value over time. They were patient.
So it's like not a sprint, it's a marathon.
Exactly. And they were able to adapt.
Okay.
The Phuket market is constantly changing, so they had to adjust their strategies. Maybe they switched from short-term to long-term rentals, or they took advantage of new things like Airbnb. They were flexible.
So they were like ready for anything. Okay, well, this has been really insightful. We've learned a lot about how the Phuket real estate market works, the culture, the risks and rewards, and some pretty inspiring success stories. But there's so much more to talk about.
Oh, yeah, we're just getting started.
And we're going to dive even deeper into what makes Phuket real estate unique in part 2 of this deep dive. So stay tuned.
Don't go anywhere. Welcome back, everyone. So now I want to really get into those cultural things that make Phuket's real estate scene so different.
Yeah, I'm excited to hear more about this. In the last part, we talked about the Phuket lifestyle, beaches, nightlife, all that. But I feel like there's got to be more to it than that. Like, how does Thai culture actually affect the way properties are designed and experienced?
It's really cool how those things come together, the culture and the investment side.
Yeah.
You're right. It's not just about, crunching numbers.
Mm.
It's about understanding what's important to Thai people, their values and traditions. Those things are built into the whole property market.
Okay, yeah, so walk me through that. What are some of the big things that investors should know about?
Well, Thai people have this really strong connection to indoor-outdoor living.
Okay.
So you see a lot of homes that have open spaces, courtyards, gardens. It all blends together with the tropical environment.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not just because it looks nice. It's because being close to nature is really important in Thai culture.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like bringing the outside in. Makes sense that those values would show up in the way they design and build things. Are there specific things that we would see in Phuket properties because of this?
You'll see a lot of Salatai. They're like open pavilions that people use for relaxing and hanging out.
Oh, okay.
They really show that connection between inside and outside. People can enjoy the tropical weather and be close to nature.
I love that. It sounds so peaceful. Like I could just picture myself in a salatai, sipping on something cold, enjoying the breeze. But our sources also talked about how important those amazing amenities are.
Oh, yeah, the amenities.
It's not just about the house or the condo. It's about the whole experience.
Exactly. Phuket has something for everyone. Spas, wellness retreats, nightlife, amazing restaurants, local markets. You name it, they got it. And it's not just for tourists. It's for people who want to live there full time or have a vacation home or even an investment property.
Yeah, so you're not just buying a place to stay. You're buying access to all this amazing stuff. How does that affect the real estate market itself?
Well, Being close to those amenities is a big selling point. Like imagine you have a condo that's right on the beach
Hmm.
or a villa in the hills with incredible views and you can hike right from your doorstep. Those things make a property way more valuable.
You've convinced me. Sign me up. But what about, we've talked about this a little bit, but I want to go deeper. What about the expat community in Phuket?
Oh yeah, the expats. They're a big part of the market. They drive a lot of the demand and they influence what kind of properties get built.
Yeah.
They want things that are more familiar to them.
So things like international schools and neighborhoods that feel more westernized.
Yeah, exactly. And because so many expats want to live in certain areas, the prices go up.
So it's like its own little market inside the bigger market.
You got it.
And it seems like technology is really helping to connect international buyers with the Phuket market.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Online platforms have made it so much easier for people to look at properties, compare prices, even buy and sell without being there in person.
Mm.
It used to be way harder for people who weren't already in Phuket to invest, but now it's much more accessible.
It's amazing how technology is making things more open. Like anyone can get involved now.
Yeah, you don't need to be a millionaire to invest in paradise anymore.
Yeah.
It's really cool how all these things, the culture, the lifestyle, the technology, they all work together to make the Phuket real estate market what it is.
It's like a puzzle, all these pieces fit together. But you mentioned smart home technology before.
Oh, yeah.
Tell me more about that.
Well, it's not just a fancy gimmick anymore. Smart home tech is becoming really popular in Phuket,
I can see why.
especially with people who want their homes to be energy efficient and secure. And, it's kind of cool to have a super high-tech tropical home to show off.
Right. It's like living in the future, but in paradise.
Imagine you're on vacation in, like, I don't know, Bali, and you can control the temperature in your Phuket villa from your phone. Yeah, that's awesome. It's convenient and it gives you peace of mind. Plus, if you want to rent out your property, having those smart features makes it way more appealing to renters.
So it's not just a cool gadget, it's a smart investment too. But let's talk about sustainability for a minute. We touched on this before, but I think it's really important. Why is there this big push for eco-friendly development in Phuket?
Well, ecotourism is exploding right now. Like,
Hmm.
tons of people want to travel in a way that doesn't harm the environment. And that's created this huge demand for places to stay that are eco-friendly.
So it's not just a trend, it's what people are actually looking for.
Exactly.
But are there any real benefits to building in a sustainable way, like besides just attracting eco-conscious tourists?
Oh, for sure. Things like solar panels and rainwater collection systems, they're not just good for the planet, they also save you money in the long run because you don't have to pay as much for energy and water.
So it's good for the environment and good for your bank account.
Exactly. It's a win-win. But, sustainability isn't just about individual properties. It's about how Phuket develops as a whole.
Yeah. So what's the government doing to promote responsible growth?
The government is definitely on board. They're encouraging sustainable development through a bunch of policies and incentives. They have stricter building codes now. They're making it easier and cheaper to use renewable energy. And they're pushing eco-friendly tourism.
That's awesome. It sounds like they're really taking this seriously. How are those government initiatives affecting the real estate market itself?
Well, it's attracting a whole new group of investors who care about sustainability.
Hmm.
They want to invest in a place that's doing things the right way. It's good for the planet. It's good for the local economy.
I love that. It's like a triple win. But let's be real, every investment has risks. What are some of the potential downsides or challenges that people should be aware of in Phuket?
Yeah, you always have to be aware of market volatilities, like currencies can fluctuate, the global economy can tank.
Mm.
Even political stuff can affect property values.
Yeah.
It's just something you have to keep in mind and be prepared for.
Right. That's true for any investment, really. But are there any risks that are specific to Phuket? Something that might surprise someone who doesn't know the market well?
I think one thing to be careful of is overdevelopment. Tourism's great, but if things get out of control, it can damage the environment, put a strain on the infrastructure,
Mm-hmm.
and ultimately it could hurt the very things that make Phuket so attractive.
So investors need to be careful about which locations and developments they choose. They should look for places that are growing in a responsible way. But enough about the risks. Let's talk about some more success stories. I love hearing about people who have done well in Phuket. What are some other examples?
Oh, there's so many. One that comes to mind is the investor who bought that hillside villa in Kamala.
Oh, yeah, that one was amazing.
They knew that area had potential, and then a huge resort was built nearby, and their property value just skyrocketed. It's a great example of how understanding market trends and anticipating what's coming can really pay off.
It's like they had a crystal ball or something. They saw the future.
Pretty much. But you don't have to have a ton of money to be successful in Phuket. Our sources talked about a couple who bought a traditional Thai house in Shillong and turned it into an Airbnb.
Oh, yeah. I loved that story. It was so charming.
They focused on creating a really authentic experience for their guests. It was something different, not just another hotel room. And it's been a huge success.
It proves that you don't need a huge budget. You just need a good idea and a good understanding of what people want. When we look at all these different success stories, do you see any common themes? What are these investors doing that's making them so successful?
Well, the first thing is research. They all did their research. They took the time to understand the market, to find those areas that were going to grow. And they didn't just buy the first property they saw. They were picky.
So due diligence is key.
Absolutely. But it's not just about knowing the facts and figures. It's also about building relationships with people who know the local market.
So like having a good team of advisors.
Yes, a real estate agent, a lawyer, a property manager, people you can trust to guide you and give you good advice. And these successful investors, they weren't in it for the quick buck. They were thinking long term. They understood that a good property in a good location is going to go up in value over time.
So patience is important.
Yeah, you have to be patient. And you have to be willing to adapt. The Phuket market is always changing.
Yeah, it's dynamic.
So you have to be flexible and adjust your strategy as needed. Maybe you switch from short-term to long-term rentals, or you take advantage of new trends like Airbnb. The point is, you have to be willing to change with the market.
So it's like surfing.
Kind of, yeah. You have to ride the waves and adjust to the conditions.
Okay, this has been so insightful. I feel like we've really unpacked the Phuket real estate market. We've talked about the cultural influences, the impact of technology, the importance of sustainability, and of course, those inspiring success stories. But there's still more to explore.
Oh yeah, we're not done yet.
In the final part of this deep dive, we're going to get into the nuts and bolts of investing in Phuket. We'll talk about legal stuff, financing options, and those essential tips for navigating the market with confidence.
Stay tuned, it's going to be good.
Welcome back to our deep dive. So we've covered a lot of ground, the beauty of Phuket, the culture, the success stories, but now I want to get into the nitty-gritty, like how do you actually invest in Phuket? What are the practical things people need to know?
Yeah, let's get practical. Dreaming about a tropical getaway is one thing, but actually buying property, that's a whole other ballgame, especially in a place like Phuket.
Right. And I think one of the first things that comes to mind is all the legal stuff. We've talked about Thai property laws before, how it can be tricky for foreigners. Can we dive into that a little deeper? Like, what do investors really need to understand?
Okay, so first things first, you got to know the difference between buying a condo and buying land. Foreigners can own condos outright, no problem.
Yeah.
But land, that's a whole different story. Usually, foreigners can lease land for a long time, like 30 years, and they can renew the lease. Or they can go into business with a Thai citizen.
Okay, so there are ways to do it.
Yeah, but you need to do it right.
Right, you can't just wing it.
No, definitely not.
Yeah.
That's why you need a good lawyer, like
Yeah.
a local lawyer who knows their stuff. We talked about that before, but it's really important.
Yeah, okay. So how does a lawyer actually help investors?
Oh, they do everything from checking out the property to making sure the contracts are good. They'll make sure you're protected, basically. Like they'll check the title deed, make sure there aren't any hidden problems with the property, make sure all the paperwork is correct. They just take care of all the legal stuff so you don't have to worry.
That sounds like a huge weight off your shoulders.
Oh, yeah, it is. But even if you have all your legal ducks in a row, there's still the money part. Financing.
Right.
That can be tough, especially for people who are buying from overseas.
Yeah. So what are the most common ways that people, international buyers, are getting financing in Phuket?
Well, some people just get a loan from their bank back home,
Okay.
especially if they already have a good relationship with their bank.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But you can also get financing in Thailand. It's worth checking out both options.
So shop around.
Exactly. Compare interest rates, fees, how long the loan is for, all that stuff. And it's always good to talk to someone who knows about international real estate financing.
Like a financial advisor.
Yeah, someone who can help you figure out what's best for you.
Okay, that's really helpful. So let's say you've got the financing figured out. You've bought your dream property in Phuket. Now, how do you manage it?
property management.
We've heard stories of people who manage their Phuket properties from, like, halfway across the world.
Yeah, it's definitely possible.
But I bet it's not easy.
It can be tricky, especially if you don't speak Thai or you're not familiar with the culture.
Yeah.
If you're not going to be living in Phuket full time, finding a good property management company is super important.
Okay, so what should people look for in a property management company? Like, what are the essential services they should provide?
Well, they should take care of everything, really. Finding tenants, collecting rent, making sure the property is well maintained.
Okay.
They're basically your eyes and ears on the ground.
Right, so you don't have to constantly be flying back and forth to Phuket to deal with stuff.
Exactly. They'll handle all the day-to-day stuff, communicate with the tenants, deal with any problems that come up. It just makes everything so much easier.
So it's worth investing in a good property management company. It can save you a lot of stress.
Absolutely. Okay, before we finish up, I want to go back to something we've mentioned a few times. Due diligence.
Yeah, due diligence. It seems like that's like the magic word for anyone who wants to invest in Phuket. Why is it so important, and what does it actually involve?
Due diligence is like the foundation of any good real estate investment. It's basically doing your homework before you buy anything. You got to investigate the property, make sure there are no surprises.
So it's like being a detective.
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah.
You have to uncover anything that could affect your investment later on. Some of the most important things are making sure the title deed is legit, having a professional inspect the property, checking out the developer if it's an off-plan property, and knowing the local zoning laws.
Okay, so it's not just a one-time thing. It's like an ongoing process.
Yeah, you got to stay on top of things.
Yeah.
It's about protecting your investment and making sure it's a success.
This has been an amazing deep dive. I feel like we've learned so much about Phuket real estate.
I agree. It's been fun.
We talked about everything from the market and the culture to the legal stuff and the practical tips for investing.
I hope our listeners feel like they have a much better understanding of what it takes to invest in Phuket.
Yeah, I think we've given them a really good overview. We've shown them the opportunities, the challenges, and most importantly, how to navigate the market successfully. It's more than just buying a property. It's about understanding the culture, the lifestyle, and all the amazing things that make Phuket so special.
And for anyone who's ready to take the plunge, remember, do your research, get good advice, and never skip due diligence.
Perfect advice. And if anyone wants to learn more, we have some great resources in the show notes.
Yeah, check those out.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into Phuket real estate. Until next time.